Council, Monday, June the 4th, 2018 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. So we will have the adoption of some minutes, please. First, the regular open minutes of May the 22nd, 2018. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And business arising from prior minutes. This was from a closed meeting of April the 16th, 2018. Motion moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Campol, that the following motions from the closed meeting be read into the regular minutes. So motion IC 3718 moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Youngberg, that Council approves the Desert Centre Facility Project be included in the Resort Municipality Initiative Strategy and directs administration to complete the needed consultation and inform the provinces of the additional project to be included in the Resort Municipality Initiative. And that was carried with Councillor Rhodes opposed. The motion IC 39-18 moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Youngberg, that Council approves the $40,000 of RMI funds expenditure to the Desert Centre Society for the purchase of their office trailer. And that was carried, but Councillor Rhodes and Councillor Campbell were opposed to that. The reason that these were in camera at the time was because the Desert Centre had made applications to other agencies, and it would have not have been appropriate for us to bring that up, because that was not something that we felt we could do, and bring those names forward. So we have applied to the Resort Municipality Initiative, and I believe we have got the okay to include this in our Resort Municipality budget, and we are going to give them $40,000 to get a new trailer. They're also doing some fundraising, from what I read, because I believe the entire thing is going to cost them about $100,000, and the trailer that they have up there, or the whatever the buildings are have had water damage, mold, rats, etc. in them, so they can no longer be used. So could introduction of late items? I didn't see where that came from. I knew that, but it's not written down here. Okay, so we need a motion to accept those into the Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. So introduction of late items, nothing else. So we need a motion that the agenda of June 4th, 2018 be adopted as presented. Councillor King, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor. Thank you. No delegations and no water matters. No correspondence today. So bylaws. The first one is the Foreshore and Lake Zoning Amendment Bylaw, the Wibit Water Park. And would that be you, Ms. McKay?
Thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, Council recall that in 2017, Council resolved to consider North Gyro Park as a potential location for the establishment of an inflatable water park. I requested that Okanagan Wibit present its proposal to public open house. Open house was subsequently held, and then Council then gave direction to staff to proceed with the rezoning proposal in the location which was identified in Attachment 1. So the area within which the inflatable water park was to be proposed is currently zoned W1, which does not permit the use of the water park. So a rezoning has been undertaken and in progress, and a report was then prepared and presented to Council for April 3rd. Council then read the amending bylaw for the first and second time and set the public hearing date for April 30th. We did held the public hearing on April 30th, and then Council subsequently gave third reading on May 7th. Because the properties are rezoning within 800 meters of the controlled access highway, we needed Ministry of Transportation Infrastructure approval prior to coming forward for fourth reading, and the Ministry approved the amending bylaw on May 16th. So staff are now bringing forward the bylaw for Council's approval and adoption. So with respect to implications for the community, an inflatable water park can be an asset for Osoyoos by serving as additional attraction. Organizationally, town staff have made application to the province for the appropriate tenure over the foreshore lease area to allow for the sublet the water park component. The applicant will be responsible for all the fees that occurred as part of that licensing process. In addition to Okanagan Wibit's financial responsibilities, they'll also be responsible for rent of the municipal land, the foreshore land, and any costs incurred for environmental assessments. To date, the Ministry of Environment has not indicated that there will be any environmental assessments needed. Town staff are moving forward with the rezoning in order to help facilitate Okanagan Wibit's target opening for this summer. However, timing for the opening of the water park is really dependent on the various factors such as obtaining the necessary approvals, and as one can imagine, the province is fairly busy right now. They do require Section 11 approval under the Water Sustainability Act for changes in and about a stream, and they're also in the process of obtaining the necessary provincial approvals. So the options for council are either to adopt the Foreshore and Lake zoning bylaw amendment 124.03 or abandon the bylaw, and staff are recommending option 1.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thanks, Mayor McCordoff. I'll move option 1 as it's worded in the report.
I'll second it.
Second it. We've been through this a few times, so this is just adoption. Can I ask one question? Do you think it might be possible for them to be open this summer?
That's
We're
a very
getting
good.
kind of late, aren't we? And
That's a very good question, Mayor McCordoff, and I was in contact with folks at Front Counter BC, and it is actually, there are actually moved it a little bit forward
good.
in the queue to address it as quickly as possible. The challenge for Okanagan Wibit is they really wanted to get into the high school like over the next few weeks to recruit some staff.
Yes.
and get the training done in time. So it is a bit of a challenge, but I did have a discussion with them about where they get the physical product from, and they would still be able to get it set up in as late as July if need be. But thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. So it's been moved and seconded that we'll go with option 1. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next is the Records Management Bylaw. Mr. Emenko.
Thank you, Mayor. Legislation requires the town to have a proper records management system. The town is moving towards an electronic records management system, ERMS. In doing so requires a bylaw and policies. The Town of Osoyoos Record Management Bylaw number 1341/2018 was drafted using the model bylaw supplied by Local Government Management Association of BC and designates the corporate officer as the person responsible for the management and maintenance of the records management system. It authorizes the corporate officer to create and maintain records, a records manual to include procedures and policies on how the town records how town records are created, accessed, maintained, and disposed of. The Town of Osoyoos Records Management Bylaw 1341/2018 was given first 3 readings at the regular open meeting of Council on May 22nd. Several policies relative to the records management program for the town were also approved by Council on May 22nd, 2018. In terms of implications, ensuring that the records are required by the public are easily accessible and in good order. Organizationally, a system allowing ease of access to records by all staff. Budget, there remains funding in the budget to complete the scanning of documents into the electronic records management system. There are no significant dates. Sustainability, organized records management program that sets out bylaw policies and procedures for a controlled record management system. 3 options are presented to Council. The first being that the Town of Osoyoos Records Management Bylaw 1341/2018 be adopted. Second being that the Records Management Bylaw be returned to staff for further review. And third, that the Records Management Bylaw be abandoned. And the staff recommends option number 1.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you again, Mayor McCordoff. I'll move option 1 as it's worded in the report.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We've gone through this before. We appreciate all the work that our corporate officer and staff have done on this, and we're quite happy to have this adopted. All in favor? Thank you very much. Next is the council procedure amendment bylaw. Mr. Romanko?
The community charter requires council to set procedures of council by bylaw. Council Procedures Bylaw number 1271-2010 is requiring amendment to change the date of the first regular council meeting following a general local election from the first Monday in December to the first Monday in November due to the changes of election dates from the third Saturday in November to the third Saturday in October. The bylaw is further being amended to add a council protocol section. The community charter requires that council procedure bylaws or amendments thereto be advertised. This required advertising was done in the May 2nd and May 9th issues of the Osoyoos Times. Council gave 3 readings to the council procedures amendment bylaw 1271.02 at its regular open meeting of May 22nd, 2018. In terms of significant dates, this bylaw must be adopted to change the date of the first meeting following the general local election before the October general local election on October 20th, 2018. Sustainability, ensuring that town bylaws are up to date and current in accordance with the community charter. Again, 3 options are presented. First, that council procedure amendment bylaw number 1271.02 be adopted. 2, that the council procedures amendment bylaw be returned to staff for further review. And 3, that council procedure amendment bylaw be abandoned, and staff recommends option number 1.
Thank you. We're moved by Councillor King that we go with
Option 1. Yourself.
that we go with option 1, and Councillor Rhodes that and this has gone through first 3 readings already, so it's just a matter of being adopted, and we're quite in favor of having this done. It all seems to be significant dates have been met. All in favor? Thank you. And next is the Fire Protection and Life Safety Bylaw. Mr. Romanko.
The current Fire Department Bylaw number 720 was developed in 1987 and has only one revision. A revision occurred in April 2017 that enacted the reporting of the fire chief to the CAO instead of council. This bylaw was identified for modernization and revision due to the changes by the BC Fire Commissioner's Office to implement the BC Structured Firefighter Competency and Training Playbook. The concepts in the playbook are designed to ensure that the appropriate minimum levels of training are established, which will make firefighters effective and safe on the fire ground, while being realistic, affordable, and attainable. This playbook establishes a process under which training requirements are explicitly linked to the level of service being provided. As a fire department develops or its services expand or evolve, the level of training required must also increase. The selected service delivery level needs to be reflected in the policies guiding the fire department and its training, including where services are provided by a society or other responsible entity. It is also noted that our current bylaw didn't sufficiently address the areas of fire regulation that were needed to enable enforcement. In the overview, attached is bylaw number 1333, which was read by council for the first 3 times on May 22nd, 2018. This bylaw was developed to clearly identify the fire department's service responsibilities, improve our regulatory environment, and also to develop a fire department management system that reflects the expressed needs of a contemporary municipal management system and our volunteer department. The regulatory parts of the bylaw were taken mostly from a template provided by the Fire Commissioner's Office. The management system was developed from taking management system examples from other communities and working with local fire chief and officers to develop a built-in Osoyoos model. This draft bylaw was developed through a series of meetings with representatives from the fire department management and has the support of the fire chief and other officers. Listed below are the special considerations of this bylaw. Schedule A of the bylaw on page 21 identifies the services that will be provided by the fire department. The service and the levels of service will then define the training required by firefighters. 2. Bylaw clearly identifies what types of burning is allowed and prohibited and provides for a system of permits to be issued for approved burning. 3, identifies the reporting lines of the fire chief to the CAO in Article 6A. Number 4, establishes an executive committee of officers that will assist the fire chief and identifies areas in which the fire chief must consult the committee prior to making final decisions. Articles 6B, 6C, and 7B address these issues. These areas include officer, firefighter, and officer selection and operating procedures changes. The CEO is part of the executive committee to establish a link between the fire operations and the town operating procedures. That's included in the definitions. The management system in the bylaw is intended to send a clear message to a part-time or full-time fire chief that the volunteers will have a voice in the overall management of the department. The bylaw also supports the fire chief as the final decision maker in a management process. In terms of implications, the community will have a contemporary fire bylaw that clearly directs the role and administration of the fire department. A clear permitting administration process has been developed. That's permitting. Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Organization, the bylaw is developed with the fire department and has the support of the department. In terms of options, number 1, council adopts the fire protection and life safety bylaw number 1333. 2, council amends the fire protection and life safety bylaw. And 3, council requests additional information, and the administration recommends option number 1.
Thank you very much, and I just want to say thank you to Mr. Romanko for doing a lot of work on getting this bylaw organized and ready and in consultation, and it's quite a lengthy one, so thank you for getting this well done. And the other thing before we take a vote is I was in driving by our fire hall this weekend. They were obviously using it for training because I believe there was a bunch of vehicles out there, and I'm not sure whether it was our fire department or a combination of ours and others, but a couple times I went by and they were busy. So it's being well used for training, which was partly what we wanted to achieve by having that put in that spot.
They had 2 long training days on vehicle extrication.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like, and they were all in appropriate clothing with yellow and orange, and so you could see them. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you. I'll move to adopt fire protection and life safety bylaw number 1333.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next we have the amendment for bylaw for the housing agreement. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor. In terms of background, there was an in-camera motion made on May 7th that council decreased the number of years to 5 years with CPI return only, that a near-market home purchaser must remain in the program prior to being able to sell the home at the market price. This was carried. This motion was brought out of in-camera on May 22nd. Council approved the above resolution in an effort to increase the opportunity to sell near-market homes to individual families. The developer brought to Council's attention that the initial program had a 20-year purchase commitment prior to being able to be sold at a market price. This 20-year commitment was a barrier to the sale of homes to eligible buyers because it was difficult for people to accept such a long-term commitment. The recommendations was a 5-year commitment that aligned with the mortgage program 5-year commitment. The change in the agreement necessitated an amendment to the housing agreement bylaw number 1433. Attached is the bylaw amendment number 1344.01 that amends the housing agreement with 1068612 BC Limited, with the only change being Article 5.01, which now reads 5 years instead of 20-year period. In terms of implications, the community, this change will make housing more accessible to near-market eligible buyers. 2, organizationally, just the time spent on bylaw changes. Budget, no budget changes as the reduced market value home discounts are being provided by the developer. Time, significant dates. The sooner council approves this change, the sooner the developer can make homes available to eligible buyers. In terms of options, 3 options are presented. Council reads Housing Agreement Bylaw Amendment 1344.01 for the first, second, and third time. 2, Council makes changes to the suggested bylaw prior to reading the Housing Agreement Bylaw Amendment for first 3 times. And then 3, Council requests additional information, and the administration recommends option number 1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor.
I'll recommend number 1, that Council reads Housing Agreement Bylaw Amendment 1344.01 for the first, second, and third time.
Thank you. And Councillor Rhodes is seconding that. Anything else? I think it was self-explanatory in there why we did this. From moving it from 20 years to 5 years makes more sense. So all in favor? Thank you very much. And now we're on to business number 1. There are 2 expense forms from Councillor Campol. One is to attend the Make Water Work forum in Kelowna on one day. He went instead of me because I had another meeting that day. And the second one is for 4 days of attending SILGA in Revelstoke. Could somebody move the adoption of the expenses be approved? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor? Thank you. Next is the Accessibility Committee, Terms of Reference. Director Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Staff was directed to develop a Terms of Reference for an Accessibility Committee at the March 19th Committee of the Whole. The accessibility audit that was completed by the Social Planning and Research Council of BC resulted in annual improvements that are currently undertaken by town staff. Council has increased these accessibility improvements to $30,000 annually. Most recently, the town has also hired a consultant to assist with the age-friendly program. The age-friendly assessment is scheduled to be completed in June, and it would be useful for this committee to oversee the recommendations of the report. The age-friendly report will highlight recommendations to make our community more accessible and to assist people living healthy, happy lives by eliminating barriers. This is a document that will be reviewed on a regular basis and will become a staple in our business planning activities. Attaches a Terms of Reference for the Accessibility Committee. Council may wish to change the content in terms of identifying members with a different skill set or experience relating to accessibility, but having more than the recommended 5 members can be challenging. The Community Services Director, along with an appointed member of Council, will make the size of the committee 7 members. In terms of implications for the community, the immediate focus of this committee will make the community more accessible and will provide practical improvements for day-to-day activities for people with limited mobility. Organizational, staff will be co-chair of the committee. Significant dates, ASAP, and sustainability, improving the flow of our community in relation to accessibility will assist in a greater sustainable environment for all. The options before Council: for Council to approve the Terms of Reference for the Accessibility Committee as presented. Option 2, for Council to make changes to the Terms of Reference for the Accessibility Committee and approve at this meeting. Option 3, for Council to direct staff to make changes to the Terms of Reference and bring back at a future date for consideration. And Option 4, for Council not approve a Terms of Reference for an Accessibility Committee. And the recommendation is option number 1. The Terms of Reference as presented includes the majority of the required items that Council requested. Having a variety of people with diverse backgrounds will be beneficial to the community in making these improvements get completed and removing barriers to sustain a fully accessible community. Once the Terms of Reference are approved, staff will advertise to get committee members appointed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I will move option number 1 for Council to approve the Terms of Reference for the Accessibility Committee as presented.
I'll
Seconding that. Everybody's okay with it? Looks good so far.
I'll just give you a little comment. Thank you,
Sure.
Madam Mayor.
Sure.
Sitting on the Community Service Committee, there was actually quite a bit of discussion around this, and this is out of the discussion. This is what fallen out, so I think it's been well represented at the committee level.
Good. So was there a date when you, or did I miss it? You're hoping to have this done fairly soon. Okay. Great, thank you very much.
Can I just add something? I was looking over this, and I thought it may be beneficial for someone from Destination Asturias as well to be on this committee.
Certainly, if you wouldn't mind sending a note to Mr. Davis, and he could look at that when he puts out the terms of reference. Would that make sense, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I think Destination Asturias could be part of that when we actually send it out, for sure.
Okay, so we'll see who applies. Good, thank you. So we have it moved and, sorry, go ahead.
Just for clarity, could you maybe give us a little bit of a timeline about how soon? I know the comment was it would happen right away, but so do we advertise in 2 consecutive, or?
Yeah, I think the best course of action was to advertise in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks, and then we will choose, hopefully, from more than what we actually need on the committee. And I'm sure that will include some people, as we described in our terms of reference. Once those people, or we make a decision for the community, it'll come back to council for approval,
Okay.
And then we move forward. So it could be 3 weeks,
Yeah.
could be a month,
Right.
but in the meantime, we'll put our nose to the grindstone and make sure this happens sooner than later.
Great, thank you. So we have it moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next I see there's cancellation of local state of emergency, but I don't have a report in here. Are you going to report on that, Mr.?
I can just provide some detail in
Okay.
terms of, as most everybody knows, on May 9th, due to the flooding, the state of emergency was declared over the community, and that allowed for, provided the municipal workers certain powers and authority to deal with flooding conditions. With the waters receding and with all the homes being inspected that were influenced by the flood waters, and they were all rated, and given that everybody, then they were back into a inhabitable type of condition. The conditions were in place on Friday to do a cancellation of the state of emergency, which in fact the mayor did on Friday, and now we need a formal resolution of council to cancel the state of emergency.
Great, thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Will you second it? So did you?
Cancel
You
the
got
state
that?
of emergency.
Yeah, all right. And that's just a formality. We have to go through that because declaring a state of emergency allows us to get provincial funding at EOC. So when everybody's back in, am I correct, Mr. Manko, that means that we don't require that state of emergency anymore?
That's right.
Yeah.
Once all the impacts of the flooding are dealt with.
Is it possible, I mean, I know Ms. Van Vienen is away, is it possible to have an update on that, or should we wait and have I'm just not sure where we're at with that. I think there were some concerns about where to take sandbags, and that was put out in an e-news. I'm not sure whether everybody got that information. If you don't get e-news, do you?
Yeah, basically the information is the same, is that sandbags are being accepted across from the Dairy Queen at that particular location, and then we're also accepting them at the landfill at no cost either.
Okay.
And for the lake levels, my sense is that we're heading in the right direction, back to normal, so we shouldn't be in any state where sandbags are required. So,
Let's hope.
Part of the confusion occurred because we were running an integrated EOC. So when press releases were coming out, certain areas of the regional district were still under flood watch.
Yes.
So when they sent out a notice, the implications were in town that we were in a similar type of situation. But we tried to separate that messaging to say that, in town, people could
Yes.
remove their sandbags.
So I do know that when I was up at the landfill quite recently, and I was taking up some yard waste, and I put it in the pile that they have there for yard waste, and I asked them how they were dealing with waste that was coming out of the water. A lot of it was, wood and twigs and that type of thing, and I was told that material would be going into the regular garbage because they could not be sure that there were not bits of plastic or styrofoam or something like that mixed in with the residue from the lake and could have been contaminated. So just want people to know that that if you're taking up yard waste, it has to be trimmings and that kind of thing that you've done in your yard or grass, but anything from the lake needs to be you need to tell them at the landfill, and they will direct you as to where to put it. So we're hoping that they've been very accommodating. We've had lots of help from what I've seen from the forestry crew that is still here in helping people take out their sandbags. So the town and many people in this town have done an amazing job of volunteering and helping their neighbors. So it's very much appreciated by everybody. Did we take a vote on that, Mrs. Hilson? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor. Thank you very much. And next is the Affordable Housing Agreement, Temporary Workers Camp. Mr. Rumenko.
Thank you. At the Council's May 7th meeting, the following motion was approved. That Council approves entering into an agreement with the Osoyoos Indian Band to change the no-build covenant in the assumption agreement to enable the Osoyoos Housing Society installation of a 49-unit residential camp for a maximum of 5 years. Attached, please find a draft three-party agreement developed to address the two issues that are most relevant to the town. These issues include protection of the no-build covenant on the property and the provision that outlines that the Osoyoos Employee Housing Society is providing an affordable housing service for the community. The Affordable Housing Service Agreement element is needed to enable the subsidy of non-payment of capacity charges that Council provided the Society. The non-build covenant provision is provided in Article 22D and 2.5, and the Affordable Housing Service Commitment is identified in Article .223B. In terms of implications, the community is short of staff accommodation, and this project will assist in providing affordable staff accommodation for a specified period of time. Organizationally, the time to develop agreements and action the connection of services. There's no budget implications because all legal costs are being paid by the Society. Significant dates, the parties to this agreement recognize that a quick decision will facilitate the development of services in a timely fashion that will make the housing available to staff. In terms of options, three options are presented for Council. One, Council approves this agreement, or a subsequent agreement that doesn't modify the terms that meets the needs of the town and provides the town signatories the authority to sign the final agreement. Two, Council provides additional information that changes need to be made to the draft agreement. Three, Council passes a motion not to enter into an agreement that enables the provision of services to identified property. And I just explained the first option. We're still in the draft development stage. I provided this agreement to the two parties. There may be some wording changes that that the parties want, but what we're looking for is kind of expediency. And if we're asking here is that if basically the intent in the agreement is not changed, especially specific to the needs of the town, that the signatories be able to sign the agreement. That way it doesn't have to wait for another 2 weeks for Council, and hopefully that all the services will be provided and they'll be functional within 2 weeks.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
I'll move option number one as it's worded in the report.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody want to? I'm hoping that this will allow, you're waiting for the other two parties to come back?
Yes,
And-
they have to provide, for example, the society has to provide information on the housing specifications that would become a party to this agreement, and also maps related to the location and that, which is also part of the schedule. So, and I'm still waiting for their response.
So if that comes back in a timely manner, they should get this operational pretty quickly?
Yep.
Good. I think
Yeah.
that was the idea.
We provided a commitment to facilitate the legal paperwork, and we've met our commitments.
Good. Thank you very much. So was moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next is the cash requirements to the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. And so that was to date, June the 4th. General cash requirements of $229,925.84. And Sun Bowl cash requirements of $6,883.46. And those would be adopted by consensus. And the net payroll accounts of $77,123.81, and that is provided for information. So committee reports, none. So next we have the CAO report.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Just a few of the activities that the administration has been involved in over the last couple of weeks. Starting first in community services, arena upgrades are continuing at the Sun Bowl. We had an emergency expenditure related to the installation of our chiller. All the repairs have been completed, and we need to order this work as soon as possible in order to get be open as scheduled. We are requesting an additional $33,000 from reserve funds to cover these emergency expenses. That item will come to the regional district board on this Thursday, Gerald?
The 21st.
On the 21st. So just whoever is at the meeting on the 21st,
Yep.
that they're aware that this ask for additional funds will be there. The paid parking machine and the marina have officially been opened as of June 3rd. There's some cleanup at the parking lot, but we'll be best accommodated as we can. We also have to fine-tune the machine. This will be done this week, so the paid parking service will be implemented this week. Kate Milne from Cardi Health was in Osuyas this week and completed numerous interviews with groups and people related to the age-friendly process. People have had a chance to complete a survey online and hard copy. She will also do some telephone interviews. She will develop a draft report on the information she has collected this week and will forward within a couple of weeks, and a final report delivered by the end of June. There was the annual bridge tournament at Sonora, 25th through the 27th, with 150 participants. And the new dog park is continuing to move forward. The area has been graded, and chain link fencing is being installed today. Once the posts are installed, we will install irrigation, and finally the area will get seeded. A temporary area has been established on site and will act as a dog park till the new one is ready. We'll have a shelter and water available. Thank you for making this all happen. In terms of finance, property tax and rural water and sewer collections are well underway. The processing of the EOC invoices and costs associated with the flooding are also underway. In Public Works, all the sanitary sewer lift stations, which had been plugged off as a result of the lake flooding, have now been opened, and all stations are fully functioning. The Splash Park and Washroom at Jackshaw Gardens are now open. The Washroom at Goodman Park is open again, and work will continue to clean up beach areas and trails along the lake after the flooding event. In terms of corporate services, the main focus has been on the flood and emergency management, as well as getting the council packages out, and I think this is a good opportunity to pass on a hearty congratulations to the work that has been done by our corporate services, both our corporate services people. Director Vanian is not here today, but when she was away, she was assisted by our Deputy Corporate Director, Brianne Hilson, and both did a phenomenal job. Jeanette was spent the week in Penticton, being our liaison in the EOC, and so it turned out in this integrated system to work out very, very well. I know that there were some questions around the fact that we have an EOC in the fire hall and why we didn't use it. Given the severity, if it was an isolated kind of town event, that it probably would have made more sense to use the EOC there. But given the number of people that needed to work cooperatively in coordinating the impacts of the town and the regional district with the fire department and all the work, a coordinated effort was best served out of the Penticton office. So, and it worked very well. We'll probably be debriefing that in the next few weeks once things quieten down a little bit. In terms of myself, again, dealing with emergency management, and also continue work with the consultants on the community health care feasibility study. That's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion, please, to accept the report, receive it? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And we will go down to council reports. And Councillor Campol and Councillor Youngberg are both at FCM in Halifax for the last few days, and that's why they're not here. So we will move on to Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. CAO Romanko reported on the dog park. That was going to be the essence of my report today, and you did a way better job than I was going to do. Yeah, reasonably well received. We did have an on-site meeting last week, and just kind of fine-tuning a few of the things for the temporary park, but things are moving along really well up there right now. And just a quick comment on our town this weekend. It was just incredibly busy. There were so many things going on. I do have to say, one of our young residents in our community got married this weekend. Biggest wedding I have ever seen in my entire life. There was about 800 people there, and never seen anything quite like it in my life. So I just wanted to pass that on. I'm not going to mention his name because it would probably embarrass him. But what a great job, and what a wonderful experience for that young couple. Cactus Jalopies. I don't even know what to say other than wow in capital letters and a few exclamation marks after that. I would like to just reminisce about a conversation that I had with J.F. Lanier 4 years ago, because I always ranted and raved about how much I liked the car show that was in Penticton. I think it's called the Peach Fest car show, and it's combined with a number of other things. And he said, you just stick around here and support this, and you'll see that we're going to be a lot better. And I think we exceeded this year their biggest turnout in cars. So that would make us the #1 car show certainly in the Okanagan, if not all of British Columbia. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like next year. This thing has grown exponentially every year. It's a wonderful experience. People that don't even like cars after they attend these things have a change of heart and really begin to see and appreciate how these things are such great things in our community. And what an awesome economic driver that is. And our restaurants were full, our shops were busy on Main Street, hotels, motels full of everybody that was participating in this. So what a great experience. Awesome weather, although nobody really had much to do with that. It was a beautiful day, not too hot. And once again, wow, what a great experience.
Good. Thank you. And I think Councillor King and I probably will say ditto to that one. I had a friend who went down there, just as an aside, and took her 2 granddaughters down, and there were a couple of cars down there that had for sale signs on, and they've asked the grandfather if they could have them bought. I think it's out of most people's price range. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, ditto to what Councillor Rhodes said, but I really have a big shout out to all the volunteers behind the scenes that help put Cactus Jalopies on. The amount of energy and time that's put in to make such a big event is, you can't say enough to the volunteers, so thank you.
Great, thank you. And I would like just to say thank you very much to Director Davis. I heard from one of the organizers of the event that he did a wonderful job, and they certainly all appreciated it. So thank you to Director Davis. There were lots of other things on this weekend, too. There was a golf tournament for the ladies up at the golf course. There was... Shoot, I can't even remember now. Market on Main was on. There were several things on, and people say to me sometimes, gee, there's you've got so many things on, why do they all happen on the same weekend? And I say, well, partly it's because that's the weekend that the group chose to take part in the summertime. It needs good weather. And I say, aren't you lucky that you have a choice of things that you can attend on the weekend, and sometimes you can go to 2 or 3. So that's what we always try to do. So I was last week, 2 weeks ago now, I can't quite remember, I went over to Castlegar for a Highway 3 Coalition meeting. That is a group of mayors and chairs from Hope to the Alberta border, and we meet a couple times a year and talk mostly about highways and how we can make sure that they're safe. Partly it was electric cars was one of the things that we had talked about, making sure there were lots of electric car stations, and there are now many of them. And we usually get a report from Department of Highways, who listen to the concerns that we have, and certainly it was the Highway 3 Coalition mayors that have been going for about 10 years, way longer than I've been involved, that put pressure on the Department of Highways and the provincial government to get Highway 3 through Manning Park from Princeton to Hope. And it's over the years, with money available, many of those bad curves have been taken out. So it's a much better drive right now. So that was a very interesting meeting, and I always try to attend those. And it was interesting to go through the flood areas on the way over, because the Kettle River from Rock Creek and around Midway was pretty high at that time. They had just lifted the restrictions in Grand Forks when I went through, so I did not go up and down the streets of Grand Forks. I didn't think they needed people on their roads while they were cleaning up. And I was quite surprised at Christina Lake. There was a fair amount of flooding there in some of the campgrounds, so I'm sure they'll be happy with the water going down, and I hope it has over there. I went to a pole walking workshop last week that was put on at the Sonora Center. Sarah Dynison did that, and it did take me a while actually to get the hang of, left foot, right arm, and Sarah had to stop me a couple of times and say, Sue, you've got to start this again. So there are, I think, 8 or 10 sets of walking poles that are available at the Sonora Center. Anybody who would like to borrow them and go in and see them at the center, and it looks like a great way to get some exercise. So believe me, it's harder than it looks. And definitely the Cactus Jalopies was a wonderful event this weekend. My neighbor who lives next door was part of the group, and he was so excited about it and so happy that everything had gone from his point of view as well as possible, that he phoned me on Saturday night when he got home, and he was quite excited about it. So thank you to everybody who not only attended but who organized it, and working together in this town for the betterment of all is just one absolutely wonderful reason why I live here. And I do know that on Wednesday this week there is going to be a picnic, bring your own dinner, and come down to Gyro. There will be music down there. There will be tables set up, and I'm not sure what else because it's other groups that are putting this on, but they've advertised it. And it's just a way to say thank you to all of the people who have worked so hard to help one another and help themselves and deal with the wild weather and flooding that we've had. We just don't want locusts. Is that what you thought might be next? He thought, Councillor Rhodes thought we might have locusts. And believe me, if we don't get a little bit of rain occasionally, we could be in for a drought again too. So we seem to have a little bit of everything in our weather. So we have to work together and help one another, and that's my report. So thank you to everybody for listening, and I need a motion to close the meeting. No, you're not doing it? I love it. Okay, I'll make the motion and I'll second it. Pick one. All in favor. Thank you, everybody. You too. Oh,